I'm joined now by Mr. Gerry Brownlee, the Minister for Energy from New Zealand. Sir, lovely to see you here. Thanks so much. And in gathering like this that comes once every 2 years, very, very important for a country like yourself to be present here. How important do you think this is?
Oh, well, I think it's a very significant gathering of both business interests and, of course, ministers and other delegations from all of the countries that want to come. It's not just closed to the smaller number that might be part of the IEA or APEC.
And indeed that widening of the agenda, so to speak, to bring in many of the countries, and indeed many of the smaller countries, maybe not the big oil producing countries as well. This is indeed very significant too. Do you find you're meeting your colleagues in the area to discuss a lot of similarities and issues that you have?
Oh yes, over the time at various opportunities like the break, you do get to talk to a lot of people. I think one of the interesting things that you can deduce from these conferences is, or work out, is the difference between what is known by the industry and where they see it going, and what is sort of generally out there pushed by commentators. And I think in recent years we've seen a lot of energy policy probably a little bit held up by uncertainty over climate change policy, and it's interesting that there is a lot more frankness here at this conference, this gathering I should say, this forum, about the long-term energy needs of all countries.
And indeed the energy needs of all countries are probably basically the same. The fundamentals are indeed probably there, and also bringing the producers and the consumers together. The producers are actually consumers as well, so we're seeing a lot of more crossover than we did years ago.
Well, I hope that's the case, and I think it's worthwhile. In the end, we're all reliant on the investments that are made by the producers, and the more investments they make, the more discoveries they make, the more energy is available, then the better it is for us as consumers.
What do you see are the big challenges in the future, and indeed challenges for a country like yourself in terms of the energy space?
Well, we have quite an active exploration program underway. We do that with all private sector. New Zealand government simply makes some seismic data available to people. We put our various acreages up for tender effectively, and we're very keen that there is more prospecting in our territorial waters. We're one of the biggest territorial waters in the world, fourth largest ocean space in the world, and we've got a lot of very prospective basins in that space. We welcome anybody that wants to come and look at the offerings that we've got out there.
And of course in recent years, yes, a lot more attention on that whole region, Australia, New Zealand, all around there. Do you think sort of coming in the next few years we're going to be seeing perhaps a lot more production coming out of that area too?
I hope so. We've seen that in our own waters, and we would be delighted if we could see this year's drilling program make a few new discoveries, or more importantly perhaps extensions to existing discoveries, which does look very, very much like the case.
Like many of the big IOCs talked about too, issues with costs, production, all of that, and I'm sure you face the same issues. How do you manage that?
Oh, well, the costs are costs that the industry has to meet, and the end price does reflect those costs. Where we as a government take a position is that, yes, we have a reliable tax regime, we have a reliable royalties regime, they're not excessive, we have one of the best royalty regimes in the world. We see the economic development that comes from the discovery of fields, the production from those fields, and the availability of energy first to our people, but also for export, as being very significant, very valuable, particularly in terms of our current account, and the royalty is really just the icing on the cake.